Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily enabling platform for small businesses. So, over the past 7 years, we've understood what matters the most to you, the entrepreneur. And in year 8, we're taking head-on 2 of your most pressing concerns, that of funding and mentoring. I'm Sananda Jayaseelan. On tonight's show, we're talking about the fact that data is often considered the new oil. This really talks about how valuable data is, how should small businesses then approach data, and what are some of the emerging technologies when it comes to the data space. This and much more are some of the questions that my colleague Pooja Jain posed to Amit Midha of Dell Technologies. Take a listen.
It's a digital era and we're living in a data economy. What has this meant for Dell Technologies specifically? How has the company faced and embraced this disruption?
Well, it's a great time to be living in this era where new outcomes are possible, whether it's a new health outcomes, whether it's a new ways of transporting and traveling, or it's a new ways of doing things. It's a completely new brave word. And what we believe, what's driving all of this is really the data. And the more use of data can help companies transform their business models, can create new competitive strengths, but also really be more disruptive to other industries. A lot of startups are embracing that idea of saying how to take the technologies and the data to create more disruptive business models. It's the power of 10. You know, can you go create a product that is 10x more relevant to the customer, and your business model is 1/10 the cost,
sure.
Your disruptive power is 100x.
Sure.
And that's hard to beat. So data economy is simply to say, how do we use data to create better outcomes for the customers, and along the way, create a new business model that can be more disruptive. So we believe this is going to lead to a digital future where more and more things will be done through digitally inside a company as well as across the city, whether it's a smart city scenario or digital city scenario, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a travel company, health company, doesn't matter which type of company we're talking about, they will use data to create better outcomes.
Mm-hmm. And so Dell has experienced dramatic changes in the last decade, from being predominantly a PC player to now essentially a family of businesses, from the edge to the core to the cloud. Has this been largely a strategic transformation or more organically driven?
Well, the data is the fuel of this new economy. And if so, data is also doubling every 2 years. And we're only analyzing 10% of the data today. So as the data analysis increases through AI, through machine learning, and many other ways, and we continue to grow more data, you need a completely new type of infrastructure
Absolutely.
To manage this massive amount of data. So our vision has been to create this essential infrastructure company for this digital future. And we have been assembling the various components to make ourselves more and more relevant for our customers to enable their journey to this digital future. So in the edge, we of course have Dell. In the core, server and storage. Server comes from the Dell side, storage comes from the EMC side, and in the cloud side and the virtualization side is the VMware and Pivotal. So combination of all the family members there are a few more on top of this, is what we believe is the essential infrastructure company. Which means that I can go to any customer in any industry and in any country and say, let's talk about your journey
Sure.
to the digital future. Let's talk about what are the challenges you're facing, and let us work together to help you transform. 40% of the customers in Asia today believe their existing business model won't be relevant in 3 to 5 years from now. In fact, if they don't transform, they will head into the oblivion. And that's a massive opportunity. Only 5 to 8% of customers believe they're digitally transformed. So it's a long journey ahead, and you need a strong and capable partners, and that's how we see ourselves for our customers.
It's been a colorful history of twists and turns for Dell, from turning private in 2013 to acquiring EMC in 2016 and now re-emerging as a public entity. So help us understand the rationale behind the decision-making at each of these stages.
So we have been the company that democratized the technology. We made more accessibility of technology to all customers across the world. And that is what the history of the company has been, the Dell, as you may know it before. And we were number one in PC and number one in server more recently. And that combination is a very strong pillar upon which we built new company. With the combination with EMC, we have number one in storage, and with the combination with VMware, now we have number one in virtualization and cloud as well. So in many ways, we have edge to core to the cloud, all number one space, and this is what the capability we like to convey to our customers.
Absolutely.
Now, you talk about what's the history, how did we make the decision? In 2013, we were looking to become more entrepreneurial. We felt that we needed to transform more drastically, and we needed to reduce the overhead of being a public company. That decision was the pivotal decision for ourselves. As we went private, we reduced the number of meetings, we increased the R&D budget dramatically, we unleashed the entrepreneurial spirit within the company. And that's what enabled our combination with EMC. So I believe that we are most relevant tech company today for this digital era, and we have the strong momentum. If you see most recent financial announcements, we announced $91 billion of revenue with a 14% growth rate for last year.
Right.
This size of the company hasn't grown at this level in any recent past that we can see. So we're pretty proud of our momentum, but more importantly, we are happy that our customers are seeing that we are the most capable partners, and they're voting with their wallet to say this is the most capable partner who can help them transform to the digital future.
So building on what you've just said, we can't help but notice that Dell has truly migrated from essentially providing components to fully integrated solutions. You know, for the benefit of our viewers, what are the challenges you encountered in this transformation, and how did you circumvent them?
Well, I think we are on that journey to say how we can create more relevant solutions for our customers. If you think about the IT industry, in the past we have told our customers, if you want a car, you can buy tires, you can buy steering wheel, and you can go to this company and they'll assemble it for you.
Right.
But the customers are saying, no, I actually need a more agile infrastructure. I want to be able to scale faster. I want to make sure security is built grounds up, so I don't have to patch on. And those are the challenges they're telling us. And this is where our strategy is built, that how do you help customers manage multi-cloud? How do you help them look at the digital security and security transformation? Or how do you make sure that the IT transformation supports their needs? So the solution journey is really driven by the market trends and also being more capability that the customers are looking for, especially for the cloud era. Two examples I can give you. One is the hyperconverged infrastructure. So in the past, customer may have bought server, storage, networking separately. Now we say all combined. You just have one SKU. We just see what application you want to run, and the product comes, the solution comes with it. That's one example. The second example would be digital cities. You know, if you want to build a digital cities, many cities like Singapore and Dubai have spent years building the core infrastructure to have safety and security, or a better mobility and transit systems in the city. Now those things can be reduced down from 15 months to 15 weeks, and that's the power of solutions that you can bring.
So you've very clearly outlined some of the nuances of the data economy earlier in our conversation. How important is it for a player of Dell's size to leverage data in order to create more personalized products and services for its consumer base?
Well, we have always been direct to the customer company, even from day one, from inception. Our business model was built on customizing a product based on customer needs. So what is today a Vogue, we did that 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So we have traditionally been built to say, how do I customize something that you're looking for? Whether it's the configuration inside the machines, whether it's the skin, the color, the operating system, the security software. Even today, across 100+ countries, customer could say, I want this product with this configuration, with this security protocol, and with this exact software loaded, and no matter where they are, we'll ship them exactly to their needs. That said, that is just a starting point. That has been in our history. But today, customers can now go and do self-diagnosis of their machines. That's driven by artificial intelligence. So we can see if there is any intrusion or if there is any issue with the machine. That self-diagnosis can be done before customer even calls us or even asks us to call them. So that's customer outcomes. Then you build on that and say, how do we use this to understand the emerging trends, using the data? That's where our 3-year planning to 5-year planning cycle works. What is the data telling us where things are likely to be? For example, we know public cloud is likely to be 1/3 of the market. 65% is likely to still be on private cloud. And so this is where everyone is talking about hybrid cloud now, or multi-cloud journey. So again, the data is your friend. We believe in Almighty, but we trust the data even more. So I think the company's culture has been very data-driven, very much driven by the facts, as well as driven by taking data to create product and services that can be improved on a daily basis.
We're going to slip into a short break on that note, on this exclusive conversation with Dell. Much more when we come back. To stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with ASEAN Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on this Big Speak conversation, we are talking to Dell Technologies about data and what small businesses should keep in mind when it comes to data security and their approach to data. Really, take a listen.
Let's bring the conversation a bit closer to home. Now, you, of course, head the commercial business for the Asia-Pacific and Japan region. So what's Dell's India-specific strategy?
India is very crucial to Dell's strategy in Asia as well as globally. And I think that's an important point, that we're not looking at India just as a market. We're looking at India as a source of innovation, India as a way of building products for the world. And the R&D centers are here for many of our business units. We have tremendous amount of service delivery that happens from here. We also have manufacturing center here as well, which produces 1.5 million units a year. So we have been proponent of investing in India ahead of the time, and we're continuing to invest both from a source of innovation as well as investing in the market for coverage perspective. So strategy from India perspective is, again, to look at how do we bring a global roadmap for the digital future to India, just at the same timeline as the global timeline. 2, how do we get the India to source and create the technologies for the globe? That's, I think, is the second one. And the third one is how do we continue to be responsible corporate citizen? And whether it's about removing the digital divide, whether it's about humanitarian support, whether it's about more education and sustainability, all of those areas we're making a difference here in India as well.
What words of wisdom would you share with small and medium enterprises or startups looking to embark on their digital transformation strategies?
Well, I think today, as I mentioned, even large corporations cannot use size to their advantage. They must transform, they must embrace. And if you are a small and medium-sized company, and you have aspirations to be bigger and aspiration to be more successful, you have to leapfrog and embrace the new technologies faster.
Right.
If you are slower than the large companies, it's the large companies will continue to win. So no startup can actually win unless they are actually significantly advanced in the uses of data and the uses of technology. So first piece I would say is any small and medium-sized company has to know what are the differentiators. What is their core pillars for the business model? That has to be the first piece. That clarity, not only for the current time, but also for the future. How can continue to sustain their differentiation? That has to be the first point. The second, there must be better use of technology to transform, to really create new competitive differentiation. Because without that, I don't think that will happen. Third piece is the biggest challenge I hear from SMB customers is about talent. How do they get the talent to actually do some of the digital transformation? And that's where they will have to lean on some of the talent development within the company, but also hire appropriate talent to create that transformation happen.
And to our understanding, you are deeply committed to mentoring youth and nurturing budding entrepreneurs. So tell us more about this side of yourself.
Well, I think this is a more personal to me, which is as I see my own journey. If I hadn't gotten the right support at the right time, the insights, the pat on the shoulder, as well as a guiding light, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. And so I think it's pass on the torch sort of thing for me. And as I was in US, I saw so many much smarter people than me who were willing to be my mentor and who were willing to help me guide my career. And I see that same sort of mindset happens in any company scenario. There are introverts who basically get onto global call and they say, I have a better answer, but I don't know how to speak.
Sure.
So when that happens, we created a program called, Raise Your Hand, and provided training for that. So how do you improve your skills to not be intimidated by yourself and your own mindset and really be able to become a global leader? That's an example of that.
Phenomenal.
Women. We created Women in Leadership program, which is driven by Asia. Now it has become global, where we felt that not only women drop out because of family issues along the way, but in many cultures, they just don't want to take on the leadership role, and they somehow have a mental block to say, women are not supposed to take leadership roles, especially in many of the Asian countries. And so, we had to openly say that we are a company that want to have a more diverse, more inclusive culture, but we also want to have more women in the leadership position. But we're not going to move away from meritocracy mindset we have. Right. That means we have to invest more in the development. So that's, I think, is what we did. Then next thing we said is, it's not just women's responsibility to take on more leadership role. It's also men's responsibility and others' responsibility to create that culture where different styles are valued and better outcomes can happen for the company. So we created a program called Embark, many advocating real change. So this is the inclusive culture side of the company that we did.
And Amit, by way of closing comments, if we were to speak to your colleague at Dell or a member of your team, how would they describe your management philosophy or a leadership mantra that you live your life by?
That's a tough question, but I will tell you my view of what philosophies I follow. First, I love my job and I play to win. And I think, let me give you some stats on it. This mindset is a hugely important piece. If you play to win versus if you play to not lose, the difference between the two success is as much as 50% difference. So, and this is a fact. This is not the data that I'm making up. So if in an English Premier League, a striker against a goalie is trying to take a strike with mindset of not losing, right, they strike only 62%. But if they are playing to win, they strike 92%. I cannot tell you any other skill set than just this one to say, I can improve my success rate by 50%. It's a combination of three things. How to find your worthy goal that you must pursue. It starts from one, does it connect with your purpose? Does it give you joy, right? It's about the heart. Second, does it create the flow? Do you lose time when you're doing that? I think that's a very important. And finally, does it create the financial success or not? So the combination of the three, if you find that trifecta, right, then this is a worthy goal. This is something you can follow for multiple years, decade, and really be proud of yourself when all of this is done. So I think we all have absolutely amazing opportunity. We live in this interesting times. Sky's the limit. We got to dream big, and we got to make amazing things happen.
Words to live by. So thank you so much for your time, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you very much.
Completely out of time on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. If you have any feedback for us, as always, we love hearing from you. Our contact details coming up in just a second. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night.